Chosen one. You are not here by chance, and you are not listening by accident. This moment was scheduled in heaven before you ever pressed play. What you are sensing right now is not emotion, and it is not imagination. It is recognition. Something in the spirit realm aligned to bring you here at this exact second, because heaven has marked this moment as a turning point in your life. Chosen one. The financial pressure you have been carrying is reaching its end. Not slowly and not someday, suddenly. What felt heavy was not meant to crush you, but to prepare you. You are standing at the edge of a supernatural shift where provision replaces pressure and access replaces delay. The same God who declares in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3 that the vision will surely come and will not delay is speaking over your finances right now. Anointed one, heaven is opening doors you could not force and moving people you could not reach. This is not about luck or timing in the natural. This is divine alignment. Your waiting season is breaking and your elevation is activating. Something is being released that will change how money flows to you and through you. Stay present, stay open, let your spirit receive. This message is not information, it is an announcement. Heaven is speaking, and your breakthrough is closer than you think. Chosen one, hear me slowly and clearly. What you have been experiencing around money was never random, and it was never a reflection of your worth or effort. I say this with conviction because I have walked through seasons where every bill felt like a test of faith, and every delay felt personal. There were moments when I did everything right on paper and still watched doors stay shut. That is how I learned this truth. When the pressure is precise, the attack is intentional. The resistance you felt was not because you were weak. It was because what you carry next is dangerous to darkness. Anointed one. The enemy does not waste energy. He studies seasons, he studies potential, he studies timing. The reason your finances were targeted was not because money itself mattered, but because money stabilizes obedience. Once provision settles, you move freely. Once debt breaks, your yes becomes faster. Once lack releases, your influence expands. That is what the opposition was trying to delay. I remember a season where my calling was clear, but my resources were not, and every delay tried to convince me to shrink my vision. That is the trap. Financial pressure is often meant to silence purpose before it can breathe. Chosen one. You were never meant to live exhausted, surviving, and constantly calculating whether obedience was affordable. Heaven does not assign vision without provision. What you are feeling now is not anxiety. It is exposure. God is lifting the veil on a tactic that worked for too long. And when God exposes something, He does not do it to scare you. He does it to end it. There is a difference between a struggle you endure and a cycle you are being released from, and tonight marks the line between the two. I want you to understand this from a grounded place, not just a spiritual one. I have watched people step into sudden favor after long droughts, and it never started with money. It started with alignment, a shift in how they saw themselves, a release of shame they were never meant to carry, a recognition that the delay was not denial, but training. When that internal shift happened, external doors followed quickly. That is why this moment feels heavy and holy at the same time. Chosen one. This battle was never against your talent, your intelligence, or your discipline. It was against your endurance. The goal was to wear you down until you stopped expecting anything to change. But Scripture reminds us that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against unseen forces that operate through pressure, distraction, and discouragement. Once you see that clearly, the fear loses its grip. You stop blaming yourself and start standing your ground. Anointed One, hear this with your spirit open. God has not been watching you struggle from a distance. He has been studying the timing of your release. And now the shift has begun. Not because you finally did enough, but because the assignment ahead of you requires a different level of supply. Heaven is stepping in where striving could not. I have seen this happen right after the point of emotional exhaustion, when people were tempted to give up quietly. That is often the moment God moves publicly. Chosen One, the atmosphere around your finances is changing, not slowly and not symbolically, but practically. You may not see the full picture yet, but you will feel a loosening where there was tension. Conversations will start moving, decisions will come faster, resistance will lose consistency. This is what happens when authority shifts. The pressure that tried to bury you is now becoming evidence of what you survived. Stay with me here. Do not rush this moment. Let the weight lift before the doors open, because you are stepping into the next season lighter than the last. And in the next part, I am going to show you why this repositioning had to happen now and what it means for the opportunities that are already moving toward you. Chosen One, what you are stepping into now did not begin with money, and it did not begin with opportunity. It began with a spiritual awakening that sharpened your awareness. That is why this moment feels intense, almost charged. Heaven is not rushing you, but it is inviting you to recognize what has already shifted. I've learned that when God moves suddenly, He often does it quietly first, deep in the unseen, so that when it manifests outwardly, it cannot be shaken by doubt. Anointed One, the pressure you felt was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal what was already inside you. Financial strain has a way of exposing where trust truly lives. It forces questions we avoid when life is comfortable. I remember seasons when I prayed for relief, only to later realize God was building resilience, clarity, and discernment that money alone could never provide. That inner work is what makes this next season sustainable. Chosen One, there is a reason the breakthrough did not arrive earlier. Timing is not punishment. Timing is protection. Had provision arrived before alignment, it would have amplified fear instead of faith. God waits until your spirit can carry what your hands are about to receive. That is why you feel steadier now than you did before, even if the numbers have not fully changed yet. Stability is forming before supply multiplies. Anointed One, heaven is also recalibrating your expectations. You are learning to recognize divine movement without needing dramatic signs. Subtle shifts matter. Conversations that flow, ideas that suddenly connect, opportunities that feel light instead of forced. These are indicators that alignment is taking root. I have watched people miss divine timing because they were waiting for something loud when God was moving through peace. Chosen One, let us speak honestly about fear, because fear often lingers after long seasons of lack. Even when circumstances begin to improve, the mind remembers scarcity. God is healing that memory in you now. You are learning to trust provision without gripping it tightly. This is freedom. When fear loosens its hold, creativity returns, vision expands, faith breathes again. Anointed One, this is also why your priorities are shifting. What once felt urgent no longer controls you. What once drained you now feels unnecessary. God is simplifying your focus so that your energy is invested where it produces fruit. Simplicity is not loss, it is refinement. I have learned that when God removes distractions, He is not limiting you, He is protecting momentum. Chosen one, you may notice that your prayers are changing. Less desperation, more clarity, less pleading, more listening. This is a sign of intimacy deepening. You are no longer approaching God only with requests, but with partnership. Partnership changes everything. When you move with God, instead of chasing outcomes, provision begins to meet you along the way. Anointed one, there is also a new courage forming in you. Not reckless courage, but quiet confidence. You are less afraid of change, less attached to outcomes, more willing to trust direction even when details are incomplete. This is how faith matures. Faith does not require full visibility. It requires alignment with the next step. Chosen one. Heaven is also preparing you for stewardship, not just blessing. Stewardship means you are trusted to manage what comes without losing yourself. That trust is earned through endurance, honesty, and humility. You have demonstrated those qualities in the unseen seasons. That is why this shift is authorized now. God does not elevate without preparation, and your preparation has been thorough. Anointed one, let me ground this in lived experience. I have seen moments where nothing changed outwardly for months, and then everything shifted within days. Those moments were not random. They followed seasons of internal alignment. When the inside changes, the outside follows quickly. You are closer than you think, not because of effort, but because alignment has settled. Chosen one. This is also a season of learning to receive without guilt. Some people struggle more with receiving than with lacking. They feel undeserving or cautious. God is teaching you that provision is not a reward for perfection, it is a tool for purpose. Receiving with gratitude honors God just as much as enduring faithfully. Anointed one, stay attentive in the coming days. Do not overanalyze, do not rush, simply remain present. Notice what feels aligned. Notice what brings peace. Notice where resistance fades. These are signals guiding you forward. Heaven is not confusing you, it is clarifying you. Chosen one. As this part closes, let this truth anchor you. You are not waiting for permission to move forward. Permission has already been granted. What remains is recognition. Recognition of timing. Recognition of alignment. Recognition of the quiet authority forming within you. And as you continue, understand this clearly. The season of survival is ending. The season of stewardship is beginning. And everything that unfolds next will build upon the alignment that has already taken root in you. Chosen one, let us go deeper now, because what is happening to you is not surface level, and it is not temporary. There is a reason the pressure intensified right before this shift. There is a reason the delays felt heavier right before movement began. I have seen this pattern too many times to ignore it. The moment before divine repositioning often feels like resistance tightening its grip, not because it is winning, but because it knows it is about to lose its hold. Anointed one, you are being moved, not just financially, but positionally. And repositioning is uncomfortable because it requires release. God never moves you forward without first loosening your attachment to where you are. That is why the job that once felt secure started to feel restrictive. That is why the environment that once felt familiar began to feel heavy. That is why opportunities you prayed for did not open the way you expected. You were not being rejected. You were being rerouted. I remember a season where I begged God to fix a situation that He was actually trying to end. I asked Him to stabilize what He was preparing to replace. And when I finally stopped fighting the transition, everything accelerated. That is what many chosen ones miss. We assume discomfort means danger, when often it means departure. God disrupts comfort before he releases increase, because comfort can quietly cap calling. Chosen 1. Heaven is not only changing what you earn, it is changing what you are worth. There is a difference between income and value. Income can fluctuate, but value commands space. Value attracts opportunity without effort. When God elevates value, people begin to see you differently without you explaining yourself. I have watched doors open simply because someone's presence shifted, not their resume. That is what is happening to you now. Anointed One, your skills are being recalibrated. What you used to do quietly is about to be noticed publicly. What you once gave away freely is about to be compensated properly. This is not pride. This is alignment. Scripture speaks about skillful hands standing before influence, not obscurity, and that principle is activating in your life. You are not chasing attention. Attention is being redirected toward you. You may already feel it in subtle ways. Conversations feel different. People ask your opinion more. Your confidence is steadier, not louder. That is the sign of internal authority forming. I have learned that when God prepares to elevate someone, he first strengthens their internal posture, so the external shift does not crush them. You are being made ready to receive without shrinking or sabotaging what arrives. Chosen One, watch carefully in the coming days. Relationships will shift. Some people will distance themselves without explanation. Others will reappear unexpectedly. This is not betrayal, and it is not coincidence. It is positioning. Heaven rearranges proximity before it rearranges provision. Who you are connected to determines what you have access to. God is pruning distraction to make room for alignment. Anointed One, your future income will not come from a single stream. That season is ending. You are too layered, too creative, too assignment-driven to survive on one source forever. Multiple streams are not greed. They are stewardship. God is activating avenues you did not consider before, ideas you once dismissed, skills you buried because they did not fit your old environment. I have watched people stumble into purpose simply by saying yes to something small that felt insignificant at first. Chosen One. What you are stepping into will feel unfamiliar, but it will feel right. Peace will confirm what logic cannot. And in the next part, I am going to show you how heaven multiplies what you already have and why obedience in small things is about to unlock supply on a level you did not plan for. Chosen One, multiplication never begins with abundance. It begins with what is already in your hands. That is the part most people misunderstand. We wait for more before we move, but heaven waits for movement before releasing more. I have lived this truth personally. There were seasons when what I had felt embarrassingly small, and yet obedience to that small thing unlocked doors I could never have accessed on my own. Anointed One scripture repeatedly shows us that God multiplies what is surrendered, not what is stored. A small jar of oil, empty nets, a forgotten prisoner. None of these looked like breakthrough until heaven breathed on them. And that same pattern is activating around you now. The ideas you thought were too late, the skills you thought were outdated, the connections you thought you missed, God is breathing on them again. Chosen One. This is not about striving harder. It is about alignment deepening. When God breathes on your work, effort becomes effective. Time compresses, results accelerate. You may notice that things begin to work with less resistance. Tasks that once drained you now energize you. That is not motivation. That is grace aligning with assignment. I have felt the difference between pushing and flowing, and once you taste alignment, you never confuse the two again. Anointed one, what blocked your income before no longer has authority over you? Not because circumstances changed, but because jurisdiction shifted. You are not asking permission anymore. You are stepping into assignment. When God speaks over finances, stagnation loses its voice. What was closed opens. What was delayed moves. What was empty fills. This is not theory. This is spiritual law. I want you to understand the power of declaration. Words spoken in agreement with heaven carry weight. When Scripture says, "You will decree a thing and it will be established," it is not metaphorical. I have watched spoken alignment change outcomes faster than silent hope ever did. That is why speaking over your work, your income, your future matters, not as ritual, but as authority. Chosen one, there is also a practical side to this. Heaven responds to clarity. Vague prayers create vague outcomes. Specific faith invites specific intervention. When you write down what you need, you are not limiting God. You are partnering with Him. I have seen exact numbers met, exact doors open, exact timing align, because someone was bold enough to be precise instead of passive. Anointed one, your hands matter. What you touch matters. Work is not secular to God. It is sacred when aligned. When you anoint your hands, you are not performing a ceremony. You are acknowledging partnership. Your workspace becomes an altar. Your routine becomes an offering. That is why provision begins to follow obedience instead of the other way around. Chosen one, you are entering a season where confirmation will come quickly. A message, a call, a conversation that feels weighted. When it happens, do not dismiss it. Honor it. Testify about it. Momentum builds when gratitude is public. One door opens another. One breakthrough compounds into the next. Acceleration is not random. It is cumulative. Anointed one, this is not a temporary upswing. This is a transition. The waiting season is breaking. The vision is hastening. Not next month. Not someday. Now. And as you stand at this threshold, understand this clearly. You did not survive what you survived to return to lack. You endured because increase was assigned to you. Stay present. Stay surrendered. What heaven started, it will complete. Chosen one. There is a moment in every true shift where heaven requires stillness before speed. This is where many people miss what God is doing because silence feels like delay and restraint feels like resistance. But I need you to hear this from someone who has walked through it. When God prepares to move you fast, He first anchors you deep. What feels like a pause is actually a strengthening of foundation so that what comes next does not collapse you. Anointed one, you are not being slowed down. You are being stabilized. God is securing your identity so that money no longer defines you, pressures you, or controls your decisions. There was a season when finances dictated your peace and influenced your obedience. That season is ending, not because money disappears as an issue, but because authority replaces anxiety. You are learning to stand steady before the increase arrives. I remember a time when my prayers were loud and desperate, and yet nothing moved. Later I understood that heaven was quiet because God was teaching me to listen, not beg. That was the season when my trust was rebuilt. When provision finally came, it did not shake me because I was no longer reaching for it as proof of worth. That is what God is doing in you now. He's separating your value from your balance so that abundance can arrive without distorting your soul. Chosen one. The next phase of your life requires discernment more than effort. Doors will open, but not every open door is assigned. Opportunities will appear, but not every opportunity is aligned. This is where wisdom becomes protection. You are not being invited to chase. You are being invited to choose. I have seen people sabotage divine provision by saying yes too quickly because scarcity taught them to fear missing out. God is teaching you patience that preserves increase. Anointed one, the reason heaven is quieting your spirit is because clarity is forming. You are becoming less reactive and more responsive, less emotional and more anchored. That is how leaders are shaped. That is how stewards are trained. Money amplifies who you already are. That is why God refines before He releases. What you are becoming matters more than what you are receiving. Chosen one, you may notice that your desires are changing. Things that once excited you no longer hold the same pull. What once motivated you now feels empty. That is not boredom. That is maturation. God is refining your appetite so that what He brings next satisfies instead of overwhelms. I have watched people receive what they prayed for only to realize they were not ready to carry it. God is sparing you that lesson. Anointed one. The people who walk with you into the next season will not look like the people who walked with you through survival. Some relationships were built around struggle and will not know how to exist in peace. This does not make them bad. It makes them seasonal. Release does not require resentment. Gratitude closes doors gently. Honor allows separation without wounds. You are learning how to let go cleanly. Chosen one. There is also a humility forming in you that will protect your increase. True humility is not shrinking. It is clarity. It is knowing what you carry without needing to announce it. I have learned that when God elevates someone quietly, it is because He plans to announce them publicly later. You do not need to explain your process. Fruit will speak for you. Anointed one. This is also the season where discipline becomes delight. What once felt forced begins to feel natural. Prayer deepens without strain. Wisdom feels accessible. Your intuition sharpens. These are signs that alignment is settling in. When alignment stabilizes, provision follows consistently, not sporadically. That is what heaven is building in you now. Chosen one, do not rush the stillness. Do not fill the quiet with fear. This moment is sacred. God is finalizing what cannot be rushed, and as this phase completes, momentum will return suddenly. In the next part, I am going to show you what happens immediately after this stabilization and how confirmation begins to appear in ways you cannot ignore. Chosen one. Confirmation does not arrive to convince you. It arrives to align you. By the time heaven sends evidence, the decision has already been made in the spirit. That is why when confirmation comes, it feels familiar instead of shocking. It feels like recognition, not surprise. I want you to understand this so that when it happens, you do not minimize it or dismiss it as coincidence. Anointed one. Confirmation often begins small. A conversation that lands heavier than expected. A message that arrives at the exact moment you were questioning. A door that opens without resistance. These are not random. They are signatures. I have learned to respect small confirmations because they signal larger movements already in motion. Heaven whispers before it speaks loudly. Chosen one, you are entering a window where response time matters. When God opens space, movement multiplies momentum. Delay does not cancel the blessing, but obedience accelerates it. This is not about pressure, it is about partnership. When you move in alignment, heaven matches your steps with provision. I have seen one obedient decision unlock months of stagnation in a single moment. Anointed One. Your responsibility in this season is awareness. Pay attention to what feels light instead of heavy. Notice what flows instead of resists. God often confirms direction through peace, not excitement. Excitement fades quickly. Peace remains steady. If something brings clarity instead of confusion, it is worth listening to. If something drains you immediately, it may not be assigned. Chosen One. There will also be moments where fear tries to resurface right as movement begins. This is normal. Fear often appears when old limits are being crossed. Do not mistake fear for warning. Fear is often just unfamiliarity. Discernment feels calm. Fear feels urgent. Learn the difference. This distinction will protect what God is building through you. Anointed One, you may notice that opportunities begin to overlap. Two doors opening at once, multiple conversations converging, ideas aligning across different areas of your life. This is how heaven confirms trajectory. When multiple streams point in the same direction, alignment is present. You are not being scattered, you are being positioned. Chosen One, when confirmation arrives, honor it with gratitude. Gratitude stabilizes blessing. I have watched gratitude preserve increase and entitlement destroy it. This is not about religious performance, it is about recognition. When you acknowledge God's movement, you remain sensitive to His guidance. Sensitivity keeps you aligned as expansion increases. Anointed One, acceleration follows confirmation. Things that once took effort begin to happen with ease. Timing compresses, resources appear, support increases. This is not because life becomes perfect, but because resistance decreases. God removes unnecessary friction when you are walking in step with Him. That is why this season will feel different from previous breakthroughs. Chosen One, you are also stepping into a season of testimony. Not because you seek attention, but because your story carries authority. People will ask how things shifted. You do not need to exaggerate. Truth is powerful on its own. Speak with humility. Speak with clarity. Your journey will unlock faith in others who thought they were forgotten. Anointed One, remember this as you move forward. What God is releasing is not fragile. You do not need to protect it with fear. You protect it with alignment. Stay grounded. Stay listening. Stay surrendered. The same God who opened the door knows how to keep it open. Chosen One. You did not come this far to stop at survival. You were shaped for stewardship. You were refined for responsibility. You were prepared for increase that does not steal your peace. This is not the end of the struggle only. This is the beginning of a new way of living. Remain present. Remain faithful. What heaven confirmed, it will complete. Chosen One. Now we arrive at the point where many people misunderstand what true breakthrough actually looks like. They imagine fireworks, instant relief, or a dramatic external change that erases all memory of struggle. But what God is doing in you right now is deeper and more lasting than a moment of excitement. He is rebuilding your relationship with provision itself. This is where the transformation becomes permanent. Anointed One, survival taught you habits that will not serve you in abundance. It trained you to brace, to guard, to expect disappointment. Those instincts once protected you, but they cannot lead you forward. God is gently dismantling survival mode inside you so that increase does not feel threatening when it arrives. I have watched people receive breakthrough only to panic because their nervous system was still trained for lack. God is sparing you that confusion, chosen one. This is why your peace is being restored before your finances fully stabilize. Peace is the container. Without it, blessing spills. With it, increase settles. You are learning to trust without clenching to receive, without suspicion to move, without constantly looking over your shoulder. That internal shift is one of the clearest signs that heaven is doing a lasting work in you. Anointed One stewardship is becoming central now. Not just managing money, but managing energy, time, and focus. What drains you unnecessarily will begin to lose access to you. What aligns with purpose will feel worth investing in. This is wisdom forming quietly. God often trains stewards in obscurity so that when visibility comes, discipline is already in place. Chosen one, you may notice that your discernment is sharper than before. You sense motives more clearly. You recognize patterns sooner. This is not cynicism. It is clarity. Abundance requires discernment because not everyone celebrates your growth and not every invitation is safe. God is giving you eyes to see without making you suspicious or closed off. Anointed one. There will be moments where you look back and realize how close you were to quitting right before things shifted. Do not shame yourself for those moments. Honor them. They remind you of your humanity and of God's timing. I have learned that almost giving up does not disqualify you. Giving up would have. You stayed. You endured. That matters. Chosen one this season will also teach you to give from overflow instead of depletion. Giving from depletion feels noble, but quietly breeds resentment. Giving from overflow brings joy and sustainability. God is not calling you to empty yourself anymore. He is calling you to steward abundance wisely so that generosity becomes natural, not sacrificial in a harmful way. Anointed one, as provision increases, so will responsibility. This is not meant to burden you. It is meant to mature you. Influence always follows provision whether we seek it or not. People will watch how you move, how you speak, how you respond. Let humility guide you. Humility does not deny growth. It grounds it. Chosen one, you are stepping into a phase where obedience feels less dramatic and more consistent. Daily faithfulness replaces desperate pleading. Quiet trust replaces anxious striving. This is spiritual adulthood forming. God is not impressed by intensity alone. He values endurance, integrity, and steadiness. Those qualities are being strengthened in you now. Anointed one, do not compare your journey to anyone else's breakthrough. Comparison distorts gratitude. Your path was custom built. Your lessons were specific. Your timing is intentional. What God is doing in you carries a unique rhythm. Stay in step with it. You do not need to rush to match someone else's pace. Chosen one, expect moments of testing even as things improve. Not because God is withholding, but because strength must be exercised to remain strong. Tests now will feel different. They will not crush you. They will confirm growth. You will respond differently than you once did, and that will be evidence of how far you have come. Anointed one, you are not returning to who you were before the struggle. You are emerging as someone new, someone steadier, someone wiser, someone capable of carrying what once would have overwhelmed you. This is why the process mattered. This is why the delay was not wasted. Chosen one, let this truth settle deeply. Your breakthrough is not fragile. It does not depend on perfect performance. It rests on alignment. Stay aligned, stay listening, stay grounded. What God has begun in you is not seasonal, it is foundational. And as you move forward from here, remember this: you are no longer preparing for provision, you are learning how to live with it. Chosen one, as we move into this final stretch of the message, I want you to understand that what God is completing in you now is not just a season, but a new posture for life. This is where many people expect an ending, but heaven is actually establishing a beginning. The breakthrough you're experiencing is not meant to be a highlight moment you look back on. It is meant to become your new normal. Anointed One. One of the greatest shifts happening inside you is trust. Not shallow optimism, but deep-rooted trust that does not panic when things are quiet and does not rush when things are loud. I have learned that trust is the mark of someone who has survived the wilderness and come out with wisdom instead of wounds. You're no longer interpreting silence as abandonment or delay as denial. You are interpreting life through alignment. Chosen one. This is why your reactions are changing. You are slower to fear and quicker to listen. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself to people who do not understand your process. That urge to prove is fading because identity has stabilized. When identity stabilizes, provision follows consistently. God trusts people who are not easily shaken by either lack or abundance. Anointed One. I want to speak directly to your relationship with money now. Money is losing its emotional charge over you. It is becoming a tool instead of a threat. This is one of the clearest signs of deliverance. When money no longer controls your mood, you are free. I have watched people gain wealth and lose peace, and I have watched people gain peace and attract provision naturally. God is guiding you into the second path. Chosen One. This freedom will change how you work. You will work with clarity instead of desperation. You will rest without guilt. You will say no without fear. These are not small changes. They are evidence of restoration. When your nervous system heals, your decision-making sharpens. That is when wisdom begins to multiply outcomes. The increase coming to you will also require boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they are filters. God is teaching you to protect what He has entrusted to you without becoming closed off or suspicious. You will learn to give access intentionally, not emotionally. This is how longevity is built. Chosen One, do not be surprised if you feel a quiet grief for the old version of you who carried so much alone. That grief is not regret. It is release. You are honoring the strength it took to survive while choosing not to live there anymore. Healing often includes gratitude for who you were and excitement for who you are becoming. Anointed One, your testimony is forming even if you do not feel ready to share it yet. People will recognize the change before you announce it. They will ask how you became calmer, steadier, more confident. You do not need to preach. Your presence will teach. Consistency speaks louder than explanations. Chosen One. This is also the season where you stop waiting for permission to live fully. Joy no longer feels irresponsible. Rest no longer feels lazy. Celebration no longer feels premature. You're learning that gratitude is not arrogance, and peace is not complacency. They are signs of alignment. Anointed One, let me ground this in truth. The same God who carried you through lack will guide you through increase. You are not entering unknown territory alone. He is already there. The skills you developed in survival will now serve you in stewardship. Nothing was wasted. Every lesson has a place. Chosen One, stay anchored as you move forward. Stay teachable. Stay aware. The moment you think you have arrived is the moment growth slows. But humility keeps doors open, curiosity keeps wisdom flowing, gratitude keeps alignment intact. Anointed One. What God has done in you cannot be undone by circumstances. This shift is internal before it is external, and that is why it will last. You are no longer reacting to life. You are responding with authority. Chosen One, receive this final truth. You were never behind. You were being built. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared. And now you are stepping into a season where provision supports purpose instead of competing with it. Walk forward with peace. Walk forward with clarity. Walk forward knowing that heaven has already gone ahead of you. Chosen One. As this journey continues, I want you to recognize the quiet strength forming inside you right now. This is not the loud confidence that needs affirmation, but the grounded assurance that remains steady regardless of circumstances. This is the kind of strength that does not rush outcomes or fear timelines. It trusts process because it understands purpose. You are not chasing breakthrough anymore. You are walking in alignment that naturally produces it. Anointed One. There will be moments ahead when life feels ordinary again, and that is where true transformation is revealed. Anyone can feel spiritual when pressure lifts, but only those who have been reshaped can remain anchored when momentum becomes routine. God is teaching you how to live faithfully when miracles are no longer shocking but expected. That is maturity. That is authority settling into daily life. Chosen One. I want to speak to the discipline of consistency, not perfection, but faithfulness. Consistency is what turns moments into momentum and blessings into systems. You are being trained to show up even when emotion fluctuates. I have learned that consistency builds trust with heaven and credibility with people. When your life becomes predictable in character, favor becomes predictable in outcome. Anointed One, do not underestimate the power of ordinary obedience. Small decisions compound into significant shifts over time. Choosing integrity when no one sees. Choosing rest when exhaustion tempts you to overwork. Choosing patience when urgency tries to push you ahead of alignment. These quiet choices are shaping a future that will feel effortless compared to the struggle you once knew. Chosen One, as provision stabilizes, so will your voice. You will speak with less urgency and more clarity. You will not feel the need to convince or persuade. Truth spoken calmly carries more authority than passion fueled by fear. God is refining how you communicate so that when you speak, people listen without resistance. Anointed One, there is also a deeper compassion forming in you. Not pity, but understanding. You will recognize yourself in others who are still struggling. This will keep your heart soft even as your life strengthens. Compassion will prevent pride. Gratitude will prevent entitlement. These qualities protect the flow of blessing. Chosen One, remember that growth is not linear. There will be days of confidence and days of reflection. Do not misinterpret reflection as regression. Sometimes slowing down is part of moving forward wisely. God often deepens roots quietly before allowing branches to stretch wider. Anointed One, your environment will continue to change. Some spaces will no longer feel comfortable. Some conversations will feel misaligned. This is not rejection. It is discernment sharpening. You are learning to recognize where your energy belongs. This clarity will preserve your peace and protect your progress. Chosen One, I want you to release the idea that you must always feel strong to be aligned. Vulnerability does not disqualify you. It humanizes you. Strength is not the absence of emotion. It is the ability to move forward without being controlled by it. God meets you in honesty, not performance. Anointed One. There will be opportunities to return to old patterns because they feel familiar. Familiarity is not safety. Growth often feels unfamiliar because it stretches capacity. When you feel that stretch, do not retreat. Breathe, adjust, continue. You are capable of more than your past experience suggests. Chosen. One, understand this clearly. The life you are building now will influence others without you trying. Your peace will be noticed. Your steadiness will be respected. Your choices will quietly inspire those who thought change was impossible. Influence flows naturally from authenticity. And when this is the season where gratitude becomes your anchor. Gratitude keeps perspective balanced. It reminds you where you came from without pulling you backward. It honors progress without creating pressure. Practice gratitude not as a ritual, but as awareness. Awareness keeps you grounded. Chosen One, stay attentive to inner guidance. Your intuition is being refined through alignment. What once felt confusing will become clear more quickly. Trust that clarity. God speaks through peace as much as through instruction. When something feels right without forcing, that is often alignment confirming direction. Anointed One, do not rush to define the future too tightly. Leave space for God to surprise you. Plans are useful, but flexibility allows divine expansion. Some of the greatest blessings arrive through doors you did not anticipate. Openness invites multiplication. Chosen One. The strength you carry now is earned through endurance. Honor that. Respect the process that shaped you. You did not become this version of yourself by accident. Every delay refined you. Every challenge trained you. Every moment of doubt strengthened discernment. Anointed One, as you continue forward, hold this truth close. You're not trying to become someone else. You're becoming more fully who you were always meant to be. That is the real breakthrough. And from this place, provision, peace, and purpose will continue to align naturally. Chosen One. This is the point where understanding deepens into embodiment. Everything you have received so far was not meant to stay in your mind or remain an emotional moment. It was meant to reshape how you live, how you decide, and how you move forward when no one is watching. This is where alignment becomes lifestyle, not inspiration. And this is where many people either stabilize their breakthrough or slowly drift back into old patterns. I want to help you recognize the difference so you can remain anchored. Anointed One. Stability is not stagnation. It is strength that has learned to breathe. When life begins to feel calmer, there is often a temptation to relax discernment and assume the work is finished. But spiritual maturity understands that peace is not the absence of responsibility. It is the presence of wisdom guiding responsibility. You are not being asked to stay alert out of fear. You are being invited to stay aware out of respect for what God has entrusted to you. Chosen One. There will be a new rhythm forming in your life. It will not be driven by urgency, panic, or pressure. It will be guided by intention. You will notice that you begin to plan differently. You will no longer build your life around avoiding loss, but around creating sustainability. This shift alone will save you from countless cycles of exhaustion you once believed were normal. Anointed One, let me ground this in reality. When money was tight, every decision carried emotional weight. Every expense felt personal. Every delay felt threatening. That survival lens distorted clarity. Now that alignment is settling in, decisions will feel cleaner. You will be able to say yes or no without emotional backlash. This is not detachment, this is freedom. Chosen one. Freedom also brings responsibility for boundaries. When life opens up, access increases. More people want your time. More opportunities want your energy. More voices want your attention. Not all of them are assigned. Discernment now protects your future more than effort ever did. You are learning that saying no to misalignment is just as spiritual as saying yes to calling. Anointed one. This season will teach you how to steward momentum. Momentum feels powerful, but without direction, it becomes chaos. God is helping you move deliberately, not impulsively. This may feel slower at first, but it creates results that last. I have seen people rush expansion only to spend years repairing what they built too fast. God is protecting you from that outcome. Chosen one. Your confidence will continue to deepen, but it will look different than confidence you have seen modeled in the world. It will not be loud or performative. It will be quiet, consistent, and grounded. People will sense it without you explaining it. Confidence rooted in alignment does not seek validation. It rests in identity. Anointed one. You may find that you are less reactive to criticism now. Words that once pierced you will pass through without lodging. This is not because you stopped caring, but because you stopped outsourcing your worth. When identity stabilizes, external opinions lose authority. This protects your peace as your visibility increases. Chosen one. There is also a humility being preserved in you that will keep doors open long term. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, it is thinking clearly about yourself. You know what you carry, and you know where it came from. Gratitude remains active. Teachability remains present. These qualities attract trust, and trust creates opportunity. Anointed one. Your relationship with work will continue to evolve. You will no longer confuse overworking with faithfulness. Rest will become strategic instead of guilt-ridden. You will understand that rest sharpens discernment and sustains creativity. This balance is essential for longevity. Burnout does not serve God. Stewardship does. Chosen one. Let me speak honestly here. There will be moments where old fears attempt to resurface, especially during unfamiliar success. Thoughts like, what if this ends? What if I lose this? What if I mess it up? These thoughts are not prophecy. They are residue. Do not wrestle them aggressively. Acknowledge them and return to alignment. Peace will reassert itself. Anointed one. Abundance often exposes unresolved beliefs. God is gently revealing and healing those beliefs in you now. You are learning that receiving does not make you selfish, that enjoying provision does not dishonor struggle, that celebrating progress does not invalidate humility. These truths are settling slowly and securely. Chosen one. Your generosity will begin to flow more naturally, not from obligation, but from overflow. You will give because you want to, not because you feel pressured. This is how generosity stays joyful. God loves sustainable generosity because it reflects trust instead of fear. Anointed one. Influence will expand whether you seek it or not. People will observe how you handle ease after hardship. This is where your story becomes powerful, not because you preach it, but because you live it consistently. Integrity carried through seasons speaks louder than any testimony spoken once. Chosen one. Be mindful of the narratives you tell yourself as you move forward. Do not romanticize struggle or fear peace. Some people unconsciously sabotage stability because chaos feels familiar. Familiarity is not alignment. You are allowed to live well. You are allowed to rest deeply. You are allowed to build with joy. Anointed One, you are also being prepared to handle delayed gratification wisely. Even in abundance, not everything will arrive instantly. Some things are meant to mature. Patience will no longer feel punishing. It will feel purposeful. That is a sign of trust restored. Chosen One, as your life becomes more ordered, your spiritual life will deepen quietly. Prayer will feel less like an emergency line and more like communion. Guidance will feel accessible. Silence will feel sacred instead of scary. This is intimacy forming, not distance. Anointed One, do not underestimate the power of daily alignment. What you consistently allow into your mind, your environment, and your routine shapes outcomes over time. You are becoming intentional without becoming rigid. This balance will serve you well. Chosen One, your future will not be built on one moment of breakthrough, but on thousands of aligned decisions that follow it. That is where real transformation lives. You are not maintaining a miracle, you are building a life. Anointed One, if you ever feel uncertain, return to what you know. God is faithful. Alignment produces fruit. Peace confirms direction. You do not need to overcomplicate what has become clear. Chosen One, receive this final grounding truth. You are not walking on fragile ground. What God has established in you is solid. It does not depend on perfect performance or constant effort. It rests on alignment, humility, and trust. And as you continue forward from here, know this: you are no longer stepping out of struggle alone. You are stepping into stewardship with wisdom, stability, and peace. What heaven began, it will sustain. Chosen One, this is where everything you have learned begins to merge into wisdom that guides you instinctively. You are no longer memorizing lessons, you are living them. What once required conscious effort is becoming second nature. This is the sign that transformation has taken root. When alignment becomes instinctive, life stops feeling like a series of battles and starts feeling like a guided journey. Anointed One, there is a sacred steadiness settling over you now. It is not emotional numbness, and it is not complacency. It is composure. You are learning how to remain centered regardless of outcomes. This does not mean outcomes stop mattering. It means they stop controlling you. I have learned that composure is one of the clearest signs of spiritual authority because it reflects trust without tension. Chosen One, as your life stabilizes, you may notice a new awareness of timing. You are less rushed and more precise. You sense when to move and when to wait. This discernment did not come from books or formulas. It came from experience, from missteps that taught you humility, from delays that trained patience, from prayers that reshaped your expectations. Nothing was wasted. Anointed One, there is also a refinement happening in how you listen. You're becoming less influenced by noise and more attuned to inner clarity. Opinions that once confused you now fall away quickly. Advice that does not align no longer lingers in your mind. This is not stubbornness, it is focus. Focus protects momentum. Chosen One. One of the most important shifts you will notice is how you handle uncertainty. You no longer panic when answers are incomplete. You have learned that clarity unfolds in layers. Trusting the next step is enough. This posture keeps you moving forward without forcing outcomes. I have learned that forcing clarity often delays it, while trusting alignment invites it naturally. Anointed One, let us speak honestly about responsibility. With stability comes influence, and with influence comes impact. You are being prepared to carry responsibility without carrying pressure. Responsibility guided by fear is heavy. Responsibility guided by wisdom is purposeful. God is teaching you how to lead yourself well before expanding your leadership outward. Chosen. One, leadership does not always mean position. Often it means example, how you respond to stress, how you treat people when you no longer need their approval, how you honor commitments when no one is watching. These choices shape character, and character determines longevity. Anointed one, you may also feel a growing desire for simplicity. Not minimalism for appearance, but clarity for peace. You are becoming selective about what you allow into your life. This is not withdrawal, it is discernment. Simplicity makes room for depth. Depth sustains fulfillment. Chosen one, do not be surprised if certain ambitions soften or evolve. Goals driven by comparison will lose energy. Goals aligned with purpose will gain clarity. This is growth, not loss. God often refines vision as capacity increases. You are learning to want what actually satisfies, not what merely impresses. Anointed one. You are also learning how to navigate success without losing sensitivity. Sensitivity is not weakness, it is awareness. Awareness keeps you connected to others and grounded in gratitude. I have seen people harden as they grow. God is protecting you from that by keeping your heart open while strengthening your boundaries. Chosen one. There will be seasons ahead where progress feels slower than expected. Do not misinterpret this as regression. Growth sometimes consolidates before expanding again. What feels quiet is often integration. Integration is necessary so that expansion does not fragment you. Anointed one, remember that wisdom often whispers while ego shouts. You are learning to follow the whisper. That whisper will guide you through decisions that logic alone cannot resolve. Trust it. It has been trained through alignment and experience. Chosen one, you may also find that your prayers are changing, less asking, more listening, less urgency, more intimacy. This does not mean you stop bringing needs to God. It means relationship has deepened. You are no longer approaching God only as a rescuer. You are relating to Him as a guide and partner. Anointed one, let me say this clearly. Stability does not mean struggle will never appear again. It means struggle will no longer define you. You will face challenges with tools instead of fear. You will navigate obstacles with wisdom instead of panic. This is what it means to mature spiritually. 1. Your story is still unfolding. Do not rush to summarize it. Some chapters will make sense only in hindsight. Trust the author. He sees the full narrative even when you see only the current page. Anointed one, continue to practice gratitude deliberately. Gratitude anchors perspective. It prevents entitlement. It keeps alignment fresh. Gratitude is not about denying difficulty. It is about recognizing provision even in process. Chosen one, there is a legacy forming in how you live now. Legacy is not only what you leave behind, it is how you shape the atmosphere around you while you are present. Your steadiness will become a safe place for others. Your wisdom will guide without control. Your peace will speak louder than advice. Anointed one, remain teachable. Growth does not end when stability arrives. It deepens. Curiosity keeps wisdom alive. Humility keeps guidance accessible. You are not finished becoming. Chosen one, as you move forward, hold this truth close. Alignment is not fragile. Once established, it strengthens through use. Every aligned decision reinforces the foundation beneath you. Anointed One, you are not carrying this season alone. God remains active, attentive, and present. He has not stepped back now that things are improving. He is walking with you through this new terrain with the same care He showed you in the valley. Chosen One, allow yourself to enjoy progress without guilt. Celebration honors growth. Rest honors endurance. Joy honors healing. You are allowed to experience these fully. Anointed One, this is not the end of your becoming. It is a continuation with greater clarity. What lies ahead will require wisdom you are now equipped to carry. Chosen One, stay grounded, stay aligned, stay present. The life you are building now is rooted, sustainable, and guided. What heaven established it continues to nurture. Chosen One. This final movement is about integration, the sacred weaving together of everything you have learned, endured, released, and received. This is not a dramatic climax meant to impress the moment. This is the quiet sealing of a life that has shifted at the root. What God is completing now is not an event. It is a way of being that will carry you forward long after this season has passed. Anointed One. There comes a time when faith stops feeling like effort and begins to feel like orientation. You are reaching that place now. You are no longer constantly asking which direction to face. Your spirit has learned where true north is. Alignment has become internal, not situational. This is why even when circumstances fluctuate, your center remains steady. You are no longer borrowing peace from outcomes. You are generating it from within. Chosen One, let us speak honestly about identity, because identity is the foundation that holds everything else. Earlier in your journey, identity may have been shaped by survival, by what you lacked, by what you had to overcome. That identity helped you endure, but it was never meant to define you permanently. Now, identity is being reshaped around truth rather than trauma. You are learning who you are apart from struggle, and that can feel unfamiliar at first. Anointed One. There is often a strange vulnerability in stability. When chaos leaves, silence can feel exposed. You may notice moments where old habits try to reappear, not because you need them, but because they are familiar. This is normal. Familiarity is powerful, but it is not always faithful. When this happens, do not judge yourself. Simply notice it and return to alignment. Awareness is enough. Chosen One. One of the most significant shifts happening now is how you relate to time. Urgency no longer dominates your thinking. You are not racing against an invisible clock. You are learning to move with timing instead of against it. This does not mean passivity. It means precision. When you move at the right time, effort multiplies impact. God has been teaching you this through delay and now through flow. Anointed One, let us talk about wisdom in rest. Rest is no longer recovery from exhaustion. It is maintenance for clarity. You are learning to rest before you are depleted, not after. This is a radical shift for someone who learned to survive by pushing through. Rest now becomes an act of trust. It says, I do not need to exhaust myself to be valuable. I am valuable, therefore I steward my energy. Chosen One, you are also developing discernment around motivation. You can now sense when a desire is rooted in alignment or in insecurity. This awareness will protect you as opportunities increase. Not everything that excites you is meant to be pursued. Not everything that challenges you is meant to be avoided. Discernment helps you distinguish between growth and distraction. Anointed One. As provision becomes more consistent, generosity will naturally evolve. Generosity will no longer feel like sacrifice that leaves you empty. It will feel like circulation. What flows through you does not drain you. It replenishes you. This is how generosity becomes sustainable. God does not ask you to pour from an empty vessel anymore. He fills you so that overflow becomes your new posture. Chosen one. There is also a healing happening in how you relate to authority. Past disappointments may have made you cautious or distrustful. God is restoring healthy perspective here. Authority no longer feels threatening. It feels navigable. You are learning when to submit, when to collaborate, and when to lead. This maturity allows you to move freely without rebellion or fear. Anointed one. Your confidence will continue to grow, but it will be anchored in humility. Humility does not mean minimizing yourself. It means accurately seeing yourself. You know what you carry and you know the source. This keeps you grounded as influence expands. People will trust you because you are steady, not because you are impressive. Chosen one. Your voice will also settle into its natural tone. You will no longer feel the need to sound certain. You will be certain. This quiet authority will draw people toward you. They will sense safety in your presence. Safety is one of the most powerful forms of influence. When people feel safe, they listen. When they listen, transformation becomes possible. Anointed one, let us address fear one final time. Fear may still appear occasionally, but it no longer governs your decisions. It has lost its position of authority. Fear becomes information, not instruction. You acknowledge it without obeying it. This is courage in its truest form. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is alignment in spite of it. Chosen one. There is also a refinement happening in how you celebrate. You are learning to honor milestones without attaching your worth to them. Celebration becomes gratitude instead of validation. This keeps joy pure and prevents the emotional crash that often follows achievement. You are allowed to enjoy progress without fearing regression. Anointed one, as your life becomes more ordered, simplicity will continue to appeal to you. Not because you lack ambition, but because clarity feels better than clutter. You will choose depth over noise, meaning over excess. This will free you from many unnecessary burdens that others accept as normal. Chosen one. One of the most beautiful outcomes of this season is how you will begin to mentor others naturally, not through titles or programs, but through presence. People will ask questions because they sense you have walked the path. Share honestly, not perfectly. Authenticity carries more authority than polish. Anointed one, remember that guidance does not always come as instruction. Sometimes it comes as restraint, a hesitation, a pause, a lack of peace. Honor these signals. They are part of how God protects what He has built in you. Obedience now is often subtle, but it is no less powerful. Chosen one. There will be seasons ahead that challenge you in new ways. Growth does not stop, but you will face future challenges as someone equipped, not desperate. You now have reference points. You know what alignment feels like. You know how to return to it when things drift. This confidence is invaluable. Anointed one, do not measure your life solely by visible success. Measure it by internal consistency. Are you at peace? Are you aligned? Are you growing in wisdom? These metrics will guide you more faithfully than external applause ever could. Chosen one, let us talk about legacy in a grounded way. Legacy is not only what you leave behind, it is how you show up daily. It is how you treat people when you have nothing to gain. It is how you respond to inconvenience. These moments shape legacy more than grand gestures. Anointed one, continue to honor the process that shaped you. Do not rush to forget the valley. It taught you compassion. It taught you endurance. It taught you dependence. These lessons will keep you human as your life expands. Chosen one. There is no pressure to perform from here. God is not asking you to prove what He has already established. He is inviting you to live it. Live with awareness. Live with gratitude. Live with courage. Live with rest. Anointed one, when uncertainty arises, return to simplicity. Return to what you know to be true. Alignment brings peace. Peace confirms direction. Trust sustains movement. You do not need to complicate what has become clear. Chosen one. This is not an ending. It is a continuation marked by wisdom instead of survival. You are not stepping into something fragile. You are stepping into something rooted. What God has established in you now has depth. Anointed one, receive this final sealing truth. You are no longer becoming aligned. You are aligned. From this place, life will continue to unfold with greater ease, clarity, and purpose. Chosen one, walk forward gently and confidently. Heaven is not finished with you. It is walking with you, sustaining what it has begun and unfolding what is yet to come. Chosen one, take a moment and breathe in what has just been released over you. This was not a message you stumbled upon, and this was not a word spoken into the air. This was a divine appointment, a sacred interruption, a confirmation that heaven has already moved on your behalf. What you felt stirring in your spirit was recognition. Something ancient inside you remembered what God promised, and tonight that promise was reactivated. Anointed one. The struggle you carried is not following you into what comes next. A supernatural transfer is already in motion, not approaching, not forming, but moving now. This is your Kairos moment, your appointed time, the hour heaven marked long before you were aware of it. What was delayed has been authorized. What was blocked has been overridden. What was heavy is lifting as you stand here in alignment. Chosen one, receive this blessing with reverence. May clarity replace confusion. May peace guard your heart as doors begin to open. May provision meet you in ways that confirm this was God and God alone. May your hands be strengthened for the work ahead and your spirit remain sensitive to divine instruction. You are not stepping forward alone. Heaven goes before you, surrounds you, and sustains what it has begun. Anointed one, stay faithful in the small movements that follow. Stay aligned with the flow of the anointing. Do not rush. Do not fear. Let gratitude lead you forward as evidence begins to appear. When confirmation comes, acknowledge it. When opportunity arrives, steward it. When increase manifests, honor the source. What is unfolding now is not temporary. It is the foundation of a new season. Chosen one. If your spirit bears witness, seal this moment with a quiet amen in your heart or in the comments as an act of agreement with heaven. If you feel led, remain connected by subscribing, not for content, but for alignment with what God continues to release through this space. And if this word carries weight for someone you love, share it gently as a gift, not as promotion. Now go forward in peace, walk with confidence, expect movement. Heaven has spoken, and what God has spoken cannot return void. Your atmosphere is shifting, your future is opening. Your season of struggle has ended, and your season of divine increase has begun. It is done. Amen.